Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This is me drawing on my sketchbook cover, so this is the first time I've ever actually tried to draw on a cover of anything. And there what you just saw was a super quick sneak peek at what is inside my sketchbook. I'm going to do a video, so my next video, maybe the one after, will be a sketchbook video where I actually take you through this. I've never done one of these before, so I'm actually really excited to do that. I don't think I've ever even filled a sketchbook before, to be honest. And this is only A5, so it's very small. It's like, I don't know, 6 inches by 8.5 inches or something like that. And it's also only 20 pages long. So it's not actually very impressive at all. But I've only used biro pens in this, or ballpoint ink pens, I should say, which is not my usual thing. Something a bit different. And even though it's actually taken me a really long time to do it, I am pleased that I have finally finished the sketchbook and I can use it for a video as well. I'm pretty excited about it. So this one is just me drawing something on the cover. I was very tempted to leave it blank, but with it being quite a light colour and me using ballpoint pens to draw, I thought I don't want to miss an opportunity. After all, it's only 20 pages, so making it 21 with the cover makes me feel like I've done a bit more. So I will talk more about what is inside the sketchbook in more detail in the actual sketchbook video, which will be coming in the next week or two, as mentioned. But a quick overview, it is mainly fantasy art, contains a lot of creatures, dragons, a lot of things from movies such as Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, a few games, just basically anything that's got a cool creature design or anything fantasy that I fancied drawing at the time. Those of you who've watched any of my other videos probably know that I'm quite a big Lord of the Rings fan, or Lord of the Rings nerd. So that is actually where I got this image from. This is Aragorn from the first Lord of the Rings movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, where he's known as Strider at this point. So some of you guys will hopefully recognise this scene anyway. I always think it's pretty cool. It's within the first film, when the hobbits visit the Prancing Pony. There is a ranger type character watching them from the shadows. And I've always thought it was quite an iconic scene, or quite a cool framing picture, let's call it. So I always wanted to actually try and draw it. But the thing is, it's so shaded that for me it's quite difficult to draw because it's hard to actually put any detail in there. Especially in this case where I'm only using one pen and it's not my usual drawing medium. But yeah, anyway, so this is Aragorn when he is smoking his pipe from the shadows with his drink on the table. As I say, hopefully some of you will recognise it. I was actually pretty nervous about doing this because drawing faces, in my opinion, is one of the most difficult things to do. It's definitely something I struggle with a lot anyway. So when I'm going straight in with pen like this, it's a little bit less forgiving than, say, pencil would be, because obviously you've got an eraser. That being said, you can see that I redo lines over and over. I do keep it to quite a sketchy, rough look. But with it being a bit less forgiving, I was a little bit nervous drawing this. On the plus side, the majority of his face is actually shaded or covered by his hood. And that's one of the things that made me actually go for it. Because personally, I find drawing eyes the most difficult feature. And you can see I didn't have to really include that in this. So there's still a little bit of footage left by this point, but I will say I was quite happy by the end result of this. It wasn't amazing, but you do have to remember these are only sketches. So I was quite pleased with that. I think it was probably like an hour's work. Maybe there was a little bit more. I'm quite slow when it comes to drawing. But the one thing that let it down, I'm not sure if you can tell by this point, but he looks a bit too wide, especially on his right arm. I think in the photo that I used for reference, he has like his cloak's coming down him, so it looks quite broad, quite wide. But in my illustration, you'll see by the end of it, it ends up making him just look quite fat. So the top half of the image worked quite well, and then the bottom half, it makes him look a bit fat. It looks like he's had his second breakfast, let's say. You've probably noticed the banner along the bottom. So if you do like any of my illustrations or want to see more, or just want to support me, then please do pop over to my social media pages. There are links in the description box below as well, for those that are interested. You can actually see on my social media pages, I've already posted quite a few sketches from this book. So it's a good way to see what's in it if you are interested in that. I think I've got just one page left to fill, the very last page. So I need to get around to doing that and then recording the video. I'm open to suggestions of what fantasy sort of creatures or characters or anything cool you guys think would make a final illustration. At this point, I'm kind of swaying towards the orcs that are in the Hobbit movies. So maybe like, I think he's called Azog or Bolg. But I haven't made my mind up yet. There's still a bit of time to get that done. Definitely leave me a comment below though. Let me know what you think. You guys always have really good ideas. Now, the background I've done is very rough. I mean, when you look at it, it's actually quite terrible. I mean, when you look at those lines for the window, they're quite poor, to be honest. But again, with it being a sketch, I could kind of get away with this, and I didn't want to spend too long doing it because I quite often get carried away and I spend way too long, spending hours and hours and just never actually finishing anything. So I tried my best to keep this a bit more of a loose sketch. I don't normally do any background work pretty much at all. I don't really have much experience with backgrounds. I have a lot more interest in drawing characters as well, something I do mean to change in the future. But for now, it's going to be a very rough background. At this point, a lot of what was left was just filling in the shadow. And you might remember I mentioned at the beginning, I was quite worried about drawing because of how much of his body, of his cloak and everything was actually in shade. So I am quite literally just filling this last bit in. On the reference for this, you couldn't really see any detail within this shaded area. So it was quite difficult in that sense. Also, to make things worse, the Papermate ballpoint pen that I was using pretty much was running out of ink towards the end of this. It kept just not working too well. I tried to correct that fat body, but ended up just making it look worse and worse. But I settled at this point here. So anyway, hopefully you didn't find me rambling on too boring. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave me a comment below. Let me know what sketches you're hoping to see in my sketchbook video. And of course, hit that thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.